All right, let's just jump right in. When you step out your front door, what do you see? A busy street corner? A quiet little park? Maybe just a parking lot? I want you to really think about the spaces you move through every single day. What is it that makes a city feel alive, and what makes it feel, well, kind of empty? Today, we're going to explore those crucial and often forgotten spaces between the buildings. Okay, look at this. This is the Piazza del Campo in Siena, Italy. It is one of the most famous public squares on the planet. And for centuries, it's been so much more than just an open space. This is where markets have buzzed with energy, where political rallies have echoed, and where the entire community has come together for, well, for everything. It really is the living room of the city. So, what even is a public space? At its heart, it's the physical stage where our social lives get to play out. And it's not just about parks and plazas. We're talking streets, libraries, even train stations. These are the places where we bump into strangers, where culture is actually formed, and where the identity of a society is really on display for everyone to see.
To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look back, because for most of human history, public space wasn't some kind of afterthought. No, it was the main event.
This right here breaks it down perfectly. The classic Italian piazza, it wasn't just one thing. It was everything all happening at once. The church was there, so it was a religious center. The town hall was there, so it was a civic hub. It was the marketplace for commerce, the arena for politics, and the absolute core of social life, all wrapped up into one dynamic, incredible space. And that's the key takeaway here. These spaces were literally the glue that held communities together. They weren't just pretty to look at, they were completely functional. Life wasn't something that just happened behind closed doors. It happened out in the open, in these shared spaces that belonged to everybody.
But then, things started to change. Over the last 100 years or so, a whole series of shifts began to squeeze the life out of our public spaces, and it totally changed how we live together in cities.
So, before the 20th century, cities were built for people, for walking. But then the Industrial Revolution brought in new kinds of traffic. And then, after World War II, came the real game changer, the car. Planners started designing entire cities around automobiles, which led to sprawling suburbs and, eventually, the rise of what we now call non-places. And wow, this contrast says it all. On the left, a classic Roman piazza, a space literally designed for people to connect and hang out. And on the right, a highway service station, a place designed purely for efficiency and for passing through. One is a destination, the other is just a blur on your way to somewhere else. This leads us right to this idea of the non-place. The French anthropologist Marc Auge came up with this term for these generic transient spaces. I mean, think about it. Airports, chain hotels, giant shopping malls. They're all spaces we move through, right? But they just don't have the history, the identity, or the social connections that turn a space into a real place. And the result of filling our world with all these non-places? It's pretty serious. It actually leads to social isolation. We've built these cities that are incredibly efficient for moving cars and selling stuff, but in the process, we've kind of forgotten the most important job a city has, bringing people together. But hey, the story doesn't end there. Not at all. In the last few decades, there's been this really powerful movement to fight back. It's like a renaissance of public space, and it's being driven not just by city planners, but by everyday people like you and me. And this comeback is happening in two main ways. You've got your traditional, top-down approach, the official city master plans, the big infrastructure projects. But what's really exciting, what's got all the energy, is the explosion of bottom-up stuff, these small, creative, citizen-led actions that are changing neighborhoods from the ground up. This whole bottom-up thing is often called tactical urbanism, and it uses some amazingly creative tools. You've got parking day, where people feed a parking meter, but instead of a car, they roll out some grass and create a tiny park for the day. Or guerrilla gardening, where people just go and plant flowers in forgotten public spaces. They're small, often temporary acts, but they make us see our cities in a whole new light. And this isn't just happening in the West. Check out this map of a soi in Bangkok. Now, a soi is basically an alleyway, but it is so much more. These webs of alleys are often privately created, socially produced spaces. They're not just for traffic. They're where little shops pop up, where neighbors hang out, where life just happens. It's a perfect example of how public life can totally thrive in these unofficial spaces. Which brings us to a really important idea. Taking back our public spaces isn't just about making things look prettier. It's a political act. It's about what some people call the right to the city. This idea that all of us should have the freedom not just to use our public spaces, but to actually shape them and feel like they belong to us.
So think about something as simple as a musician busking on a street corner. That's not just some background music. Some call it streetscape theatrics. It's an act that for a little while turns a boring commercial sidewalk into a cultural stage. It pushes back against the sterile, overregulated feel of so many modern spaces and reclaims them for just spontaneous human expression. Okay, so we've talked about what public space is, how we kind of lost it, and how we're starting to get it back. But why does this all matter so much? What's the actual payoff here?
Well, the benefits are huge. I mean, great public spaces are good for business. They support local shops. They're where we build social trust, where we meet people who are different from us. And when streets are full of people, they become safer. Green spaces are amazing for our health, both physical and mental. And when things are designed well, we walk more. It all adds up to a stronger sense of community and trust. So here's the bottom line. We have to stop thinking of public spaces as an optional extra. You know, like a decorative fountain. They are essential infrastructure. They are just as important as our sewers, our power grids, and our roads. They are the absolute foundation of a city that is healthy, fair, and truly alive. So the next time you walk through your town or your city, I want you to really look at the spaces between the buildings. Ask yourself, are they designed for cars or are they designed for people? Are they just places to pass through or are they places to connect? The spaces in your city are telling a story about what your community truly values. So what story is it telling?